man.
Well, y'all listen to iLock Radio. My name is Steve Boyd of Parliament Funkadelic, and we want to thank iLock Radio for keeping the funk alive all over the world, worldwide.
Taxman here. I invite you to join me each and every Thursday between the hours of 5 and 7 p.m. right here on iLive Radio, where we give you the very best in independent and neo-soul flavors. We also feature the UK Top 20 Independent Soul Chart, counting you down from number 20 all the way down to number 1. Why not check us out every Thursday between the hours of 5 to 7 right here on iLive Radio, changing the way you listen to music.
Join me, Uncle Funky, at noon Eastern Standard Time every Saturday for our music show, Give Me the Night, here on iLive Radio, and enjoy a nooner like no.
Attention all musicians, associations, clubs, and organizations that represent collective styles of music across Canada. Now is the time to rebuild our collective music nation. Genres like hip-hop, R&B, jazz, soul, reggae, gospel, and more united. The Collective Music Nation is a non-profit organization committed to the development of collective music. Free memberships are available now. Collective Music Nation. One voice. Strength in unity.
Canadian Black Entertainment's mission is to create, celebrate, and promote Black artistry. Join us every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on our Instagram for our IG Live with CBE, where we interview artists. Follow us on IG and spread the word. We are here for our artists and are creating a space for them to get the recognition they so deserve. Canadian Black Entertainment, IG Live with CBE, every Wednesday beginning at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. See you on the gram.
You're listening to iLive Radio, changing the way you listen to radio. iLive Radio.
The number one hit music station.
Thank you, everyone, for joining in with me this afternoon. We're going to be having a discussion on a pretty important subject today. I've got my special guest with me today on the Zoom link, and that is Alex Ihama. Did I got that right?
Yes, you certainly did. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Definitely want to thank you for joining us today to have this very important conversation. I know you've been quite busy over the past few days with your initiative that's been going on. So do appreciate you taking some time out to be able to hang out with us. So let's sort of jump right in. Maybe you could talk a little bit about who you are and your organization, the Canadian Congress for Inclusive Diversity and the Workplace Equity.
Well, thanks for having us, my dear friend Patrick. As you said, my name is Alex Ihama. I'm the Executive Director for the Canadian Congress on Inclusive Diversity and Workplace Equity. For over 20 years, I've been advocating for social justice through leadership, development, corporate strategy, and other means that has been available to me. But when we all witnessed the gruesome murder of George Floyd back in May 2020, we knew we had to do something differently. So what I did was take out the department in my organization, the International School of Greatness, that was focused strictly on diversity and social justice, and turned it into what we now call the Canadian Congress on Inclusive Diversity and Workplace Equity. And the focus there, a couple of things we're doing. Number one is social advocacy. There are a lot of people whose voice has been taken from them by a colonial system. People tell us, I got a call even yesterday, Saturday, I'm in a mall waiting for my wife in the grocery store. Somebody called, I have a situation. People don't know where to go when they experience racism. Right? When they have a boss, you can't go, you go to the police, especially even if you experience it from the police. Only last week, another black man was killed in Scarborough. And now they're saying it's a mistaken identity shot by the cops. This is not about the police. This is about the society we live in. We need to have equal justice for all. We need to have equitable workplaces for all. So that's really on that premise, we created the Canadian Congress, and we invited people like Moe, who you'll be speaking to here, and other people that have passion for social justice. They've been doing social justice form in one way, shape, or form. And we say, let's collaborate. Let's all come together. We've invited community organizations, educational institutions, corporate businesses, and social justice experts. Now we have over 100 speakers and experts at the Canadian Congress, people who are doing so many things to advance social justice in different ways, in different communities, different ethnic group, different religious or sexual orientation, and all that. They're all out there. However, the objective is to be the voice that will linger for generations, helping Canadians to stand for, to protect their civil liberties. So that is the essence of what it is. And I'm privileged to be the executive director for such an organization.
Now, let's break this down a little bit for the audience, just to, we have a wide range of individuals who listen to us. So when you say inclusivity and diversity, what exactly does that mean? Is that, the organizations, they need to focus on hiring or and being involved more in the Black community? What exactly does that mean?
Okay, so thank you for the opportunity, because sometimes we just presume people understand it, but we all come with a different understanding to this subject. What that means is if you have a job, there should be equitable workplace for you, which means other people should not be treated with what are called the predominant narrative at the expense of you. I'll give you an example. We look at sometimes Hall of Fame for some sport organization, or the award and recognition in some organization, or even in the school here. I'm in a little town called Shelburne. You go there, you see all the students, they're all white on the board, on the award, on the appreciation. You wonder, are there Blacks in the school? Yes. So what are you doing? Oh no, these people. No, maybe the Black people there didn't go to school in Canada. So because they didn't go to school in Canada, or they were not born in Canada, suddenly you have a yardstick that provides opportunity more for those who have privilege. And in most cases, we're talking of the white privilege. And this, again, is not about white people. This is about the system we are talking of. So in the same case, there's a police shooting. I told a friend yesterday, I think yesterday, the first day, you're white. He's my friend. I say, you're white. Mm-hmm. I say, if two of us are going at the same speed, maybe there's a speed limit of 60, I'm going past 70, you're doing 80, chances are I'll be pulled over. It's a fact. I said, it's not an opinion. You want me to pull numbers? I asked him. I will give you statistics that show that, if you are Black, you have a 1 to 10 ratio of being pulled over by the cops. That is what it means. It also means for healthcare. Look at the coronavirus, destroying and ravaging communities of minoritized people. There are more Black people dying from corona. I didn't say that. It is a fact. That's what it means. That's what it means, whether you are a male or female, or you say I'm neither. You should have a voice. It means if you are Christian, Muslim, pagan, you should have a voice. It means, that's what it means. That it means equitable justice for all, equitable workplaces for all, equitable treatment for all. That's what it means. So this is neither white or Black. It just means equitable treatment for all. And let me, if you allow me, my friend Patrick, sure. Some will say, well, how does that now help serve the white people, right? And I say, when we say Black lives matter, we are not saying no lives matter. We are saying Black lives should matter as much as all lives matter. There is no ethnic group on this planet, none whatsoever, that went through like the 400-500 years of slavery that Black people went through. We were shortchanged. We were held back. There was first scientific racism that said we are apes, or we came from ape, we don't exist. And then it moved to structural racism. They actually put policies in place. You cannot be a Black lawyer in Canada years ago. As Black, you can't study law. Universities were told, Black people, no law. Indigenous people, you can't study law. In fact, you can't even hire a lawyer if you were indigenous, right? And then, they now say, okay, well, we've broken those things down. Now it's moved to what we call systemic racism. It's still there, but people are behaving as if it's not. That's what it means. So
when you look at systemic racism, we've had over the course of the last little while, a lot of high-profile people in politics come out and say that, there are a few bad apples, but it's not systemic. So, what would you say to that?
Great question again, and I've had that question multiple times. Yes, here's my answer to that. It's just a few bad apples. Yeah. This system that we are all sitting on right now, whatever that system is, social justice system, educational system, healthcare system, they were built by white folks for white folks. That's the truth. Mm-hmm. Because when these systems were built, But blacks and indigenous didn't have a voice. It's not like we still have one now, but then we certainly did not. So the system itself, we have to understand that it was built to be exclusive rather than inclusive. So when bring the system, let's begin to dissect. That's what we did, my friend, for those 2 days at the Congress. Yeah. We had professors to talk about the educational system. We have lawyers to talk about the judicial system, and they all agree that the system is colonialistic in its foundation. It needs to be dismantled, and then a more inclusive system is built. So this is, again, not an opinion. That's why we partner with universities like X University, which is formerly Ryerson. Wilfrid Laurier University should consider changing their name because Wilfrid Laurier had slaves and advocated for slavery. All these universities, except maybe University of Toronto, that is generic. We have people, all these professors, and they all agree that even their studies, the books they used in school, some did not even have a black picture in it, like medical science book. We had doctors who came to say, they went to Columbia University, one of the most prominent universities in the world, and no black picture in any of the book. There was no medical illustration of any other skin color but white. And you tell me that the system is equitable?
That's it. You know, in terms of the society that we do live in, there is this narrative that is founded on colonialism, but a lot of people don't even understand what colonialism is. Because Canada has been an independent country for over 150 years. So the thought is, if I'm a white person today, that how would I benefit from colonialism when that happened so long ago? Or my great grandparents may have owned slave, but I never owned a slave, and so how is this? I'm struggling to get by just like everyone else. So, how does this make any sense when I'm struggling like everyone else to survive? And now you're telling me that I have this privilege that I don't see.
Yes, that's why it's called a privilege. You don't see it, but those that don't have it, they see it so clearly. Mm-hmm. That's the definition of a privilege. Right. So if you are expecting to see your privilege, my friend, then you will wait for a long time. Right. Mm-hmm. So when two of us arrived, I still recorded my brother and I were in England, in London, and there was this Dorchester Hotel. How can I ever forget? Yeah. Right. So, I went with a friend. We were sitting in the restaurant there. And then my brother, I called him at work, and he was coming from work with another friend right at the door. Like, it's a hotel. This is a hotel. They told him, say, no. You have to go through the back door. You have to go to the back door. Now, you as a white person, you're just walking in. I've been to a restaurant in Paris here. Mm-hmm. They say it's fully booked. And then I actually call a white friend to come who didn't have any booking and walked in. I've tested it. Yeah. So, the essence of privilege means you don't even see it, but those who don't have it, they see it. Now, if you truly care, I tell my friends, which I have a lot of course, this is all unity. So I say, if you truly care, then you take the time to study what is happening to indigenous people in this country. Take the time to study what is happening to black people in this country. You just 2-3 hours from here, if you go to the indigenous community, no good roads, no drinking water, and you tell me you don't know you have privilege. Even me, being in this house, I'm privileged already because I have drinking water. But then the indigenous folks who are just down the street don't have drinking water. They would love to have drinking water. So my own is, yes, where's the privilege? I had to work and I had to study and I had to work hard to get to where I am. My friend, you go and look at the statistics in the university that say black people in this country, it takes them an average of 6 years to graduate from a 4-year program. Why? Because of systemic racism. You will not feel that, because you are part of the predominant narrative, as some people have called it.
Speaking about the indigenous people, I remember the very first time that I saw an indigenous community. I was going to an event west of Hamilton to a little community called Hamilton County. And I'm on the highway and I'm driving and I saw these the only way I could kind of describe them were shacks, really, these little tiny shacks, a whole bunch of them in this little area. And I was like, and I'm thinking, what the heck are those? So on one side of the highway, there was that. On the other side of the highway, there are a bunch of rather large houses. As I'm driving along, I'm looking, I'm thinking, like, what the heck is that? It's wintertime. I didn't really see anybody, but it's just these little huts with, heat coming out of the roof, like smoke coming out of the chimneys. And as I pulled up, I saw that it was a reservation, and it blew my mind. It completely blew my mind in terms of the disparity that there was on the other side of the highway. And I was shocked because I'd never seen, and I think most people have never seen what those conditions really are. And so to have the conversation and say, we want equity, we want there to be inclusivity, equal rights for everyone. It might be hard for some people who've never seen what that struggle looks like to be able to understand it and get behind your cause and sort of rally with you. So, how do you bring people into that conversation who, dare I say, completely ignorant, maybe no fault of their own. They just never experienced it, never seen it, and have no clue on how to understand what that looks like.
So, and that's another fantastic question there, my dear friend Patrick. At the Canadian Congress, we have, like I said, we brought a lot of people together with different skill sets to help us to frame this conversation. So my dear colleague who's here, Moi Fong, she's in charge of strategic partnership. So her role is really, maybe I'll let you more talk to that, but her role is really to do what you just asked. How do we bring people into this conversation? So I'll defer to more on that one.
Let me just double check to make sure that that they're connected here on the Zoom link. So yeah, while we're working that out, are we good there? Oh, I think they're on mute right now, so they may not be able to.
I am. I'm
there.
Hi there. How are you doing,
I'm
Patrick?
Good. I'm good.
Good to meet you.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having us.
Did you hear my question that I just?
I did hear your question. Thank you so much for that. I think you're so right. And to answer that, it could be twofold. Number one, you're absolutely right. If you're not experiencing the discrimination or the injustices, it's very easy for you to, or for a person to believe that it doesn't exist. And then on the other hand, there are individuals who don't live in shacks. You gave the example of the Indigenous Peoples on the reserves who were living in shacks. There are people who have been minoritized and marginalized. They may not be living in shacks, but they are subject to the same discriminations that they're so unaware of, because as we know in Canada, I believe it was Donovan Bailey who says that Canada is racism with a smile. It's very subtle, so you don't even know you're experiencing it until you actually, you have an experience that is quite vast. Now, one of the things that we are very, very conscious of is that in many cases, especially even for those who are basically the, what would you call it? For those the privileged white folks, many times they don't know they're privileged. Many times it's not even a heart condition. It really is that lack of knowledge. What do we do in those cases is we provide education. We provide, we have events throughout the year. We had our biggest event, which is the Congress of 2022, just last week, Thursday and Friday, January 21st or 20th and 21st. And really what we do is we bring together strategic partners. We bring researchers, professors, doctors, lawyers, people from all aspects of society, because indeed, colonialism has infiltrated every aspect of society to provide education, right? So we need to have the education behind the systemic racism that does exist. And that's one of the biggest things that we do. We give free education through these events. So individuals can understand what is at hand, and then it hopefully will open up their hearts a little bit better, or a little bit more to social justice, to becoming advocates, to standing up for social change. I hope that answers your question.
No, that's perfect. For those of you who are just joining us right now, I'm Patrick O'Morris, and today we're, with my guests, we're talking about diversity in the workplace and equity in quite a lot of different forms. One thing I wanted to say, even within the Black community, and I know your organization is much broader than just the Black community, but there even within the Black community, living in Canada, it's a slightly different animal than living in the U.S. And a lot of times, Blacks in Canada sort of identify with the U.S. struggle, but then when it comes to the Canadian struggle, it's a slightly different animal. And, so you have some folks who jump on the U.S. bandwagon and then others who are looking at it like, well, that's what's going on down south. It's south of the 49 parallel. I don't need to worry about it. I live a pretty good life. I have a nice house. I've never been impacted by racism. I drive a nice car and I don't get pulled over. If someone's getting pulled over, chances are, they just look like a certain way. And I don't dress like that, so it doesn't really affect me. Why should somebody like that worry or be concerned about, what other folks are facing?
Yeah, so I think as human beings, we all have a responsibility to humanity. Mm-hmm. I think that especially during this time of COVID, we've all learned that we're global citizens. We're not just Canadian citizens. We're not just American citizens or Caribbean people. We're all global citizens. So whatever happens in the world happens to us. That's how I see it. Is if it's happening in the US, that could have been my son. It could have been my family member, my husband, or whomever. Mm-hmm. So that's how I see it. And I think it's just raising that awareness that although it may not be happening to you, I think just the human, just out of humanity, and just out of that responsibility of just living, being blessed to live life on this earth, we should be concerned about the well-being of others. Doesn't mean that we're going to take up every single cause on our plates. It doesn't mean that, but at least to have that level of sympathy and empathy to want to stand for social justice.
Yeah, and if I can jump in there, my friend. You see, Moy said something. It may not be happening to you, but it could be happening through you. So if you are saying this doesn't concern me, chances are you are enabling it without even knowing. How could you be in a workplace and you look on the wall called Hall of Fame in your organization, and there is no representation of the people that work in your organization, and you choose to say nothing? Then you are actually part of the problem, right? Let me tell you what Edmund Burke said. He said it best. When Edmund Burke said, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good people to do nothing. So if you don't speak up saying, hold on a second, like we're saying, there's 100 people that have been given an award in this organization. We have people from South Asia. We have people from China. We have Africans and Jamaicans. We have other people in this organization. Then you have to question the process. And I can say this, when I used to work in the bank, I worked for 3 of the biggest banks here in Canada for 16 years. I was telling again somebody in the conversation yesterday, I said, I was one of those who was always given an award. I was very proficient in my work. Mm-hmm. And I was always picking up the award. After 40 awards, one director came to me and said, Alex, this year, can we skip you so other people can have a chance at it? I never even thought that, to my own ignorance. Mm-hmm. When he said that, I immediately said, oh, absolutely. Now, who won the award? I did. Who did they give it to? Somebody else. Now, this was not a black-white thing. It was just somebody. I don't even know if that person was white or black. It doesn't matter. What matters was I had to say, okay, hold on a second. 40 awards? Come on. So in the same way, you have to say, out of 100 people, 99 white people, come on. Where's the woman? Where's the Indian? So social justice is everybody's responsibility. In fact, it is no longer considered honorable to be non-racist. we must begin to move from non-racist to anti-racist. That was actually one of the topics we spoke about at the Congress.
So what's the difference? You could break that down for people who are listening who may not understand what that difference is.
So the difference, thank you. The difference is, I'm not racist. So
we've all heard that. I'm not racist. I have black friends.
Sorry?
We've all heard that. I'm not racist. I have black friends.
Yeah. Some people even tell me I'm not racist because one of my friends is black.
Yeah.
Right. So, some will tell me I'm not racist because I visit Jamaica all the time. What have I not heard? I visit Jamaica. Someone say I love Jamaican food. Suddenly that makes you not racist, right? Right. So here's what it means. So thank you for that question. Very important question. The people who say they are not racist, those are those who really they are so concerned is about themselves. That's it. It's me, myself, and I. That means as long as I don't use racial slur against people, I don't degrade women, so I'm fine. My friend, you are not. If you are one of those listening to me right now, you think you're fine, my friend, you are not. Not even close to being fine. Not even close. Because if people are being marginalized, minoritized, racialized, all the lies, and you're there and you're doing nothing about it, you are the problem. You are the problem. In fact, it is not those. Let me tell you this. Martin Luther King said it best. Martin Luther King said, Martin Luther King, God bless his soul. It says, in the end, we will remember not the insults of our friends, but not the insults of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. What Martin Luther King is saying, what pains us the most is the fact that there are people seeing what is happening and doing nothing about it. Now, how do you move from non-racist to anti-racist? By speaking up. All that you have is not even your university degree, not even your bank account. All you have is your voice, the way I'm using it right now. You need to speak up. Whether we have a Black History Month celebration in an organization and they are letting the Black people, no, you, the white man, you, the Indian, you, the Chinese, you should be the one to say, hey, it's Black History Month. What are we doing here? Why are we leaving that responsibility for only the Black people in your organization? So what it means, we're not saying go and get a degree on social justice. We are saying speak up when you feel it. And thank God all of us have feelings. Thank God all of us have some level of consciousness. Thank God all of us can. When you're hungry, you feel it. When you're thirsty, you feel it. And I can tell you, I can guarantee you, nobody on this planet, when you see injustice, you feel it. Speak up. That is what it means from moving from non-racist to anti-racist. I don't know if Moy has something to add to that.
So there's a narrative that if there's no room at the table for me, then I'm going to go create my own table and do my own thing. So if there are no award shows that are going to highlight or focus on the Black contributions, then I'm going to go and create my own Black award show. I'm going to go and create my own Black this, my own Black that, so that we can have that representation that we're not getting as part of mainstream. Let's put it that way. Do we do ourselves any injustice by doing that, by not fighting for a seat at the table? Because many people have fought for a seat at the table and just kind of given up because they haven't gotten anywhere.
So it is, you see, there are two kinds of table. Mm-hmm. There are the table that I deserve to be on. I'm a Canadian and I pay my taxes. I deserve equitable justice in the eyes of the law. I deserve equitable treatment in Medicare. I deserve, yes, this is, that's it. I'm a Canadian citizen and I deserve that. That's one table. Mm-hmm. There's another table to say, you are not going to hire me because I'm Black. Yes, then no problem. So me and Patrick and Moy will come together, we'll create our own company and we hire our own people. You see, so I can't force you to hire Black people. We can go in front of Bank of Montreal, one of these organizations, and say, hey, if they don't want to, that's up to them and the government. However, though, if I'm in that organization, then I deserve to be evaluated the same way like my peer. So, and part of what we're doing is also empowering minoritized people. And by the way, we are not just talking Black. We're talking the Chinese, the South Asian, the Middle Eastern, the indigenous people. We are empowering them to speak up. You cannot stay in a place, frankly, that is dampening your dignity. Like, it's true. So you live, and they come to us. And we, by the way, we are strengthening our capacity to be able to take on some cases like that. We will draft a letter. In fact, we are going to write a letter right now. We are looking at the case in Markham. What happened in Markham? They say a black man was in his car. He had an issue with the police. They shot him. Now, even they are saying it's a wrong identity. Okay, let's jump on the wrong identity. Why? Did you think because he's black, suddenly he's the one you're looking for? And if we have seen any irregularities there, we are going to write a letter, and we are going to write it to the mayor, who I know. I know him. He's a great man, fine man, and we are going to ask for an independent inquiry into this. And we are going to ensure it's the public one, not the one you do behind the scene. Mm-hmm. We, more like I said, is building our strategic partnership. We are gathering almost 100 organizations behind us. So not 100 people. 100 organizations that may have 5,000, 1,000 people behind them, right? They often say strength is a number. So we are ready and we are poised to advance this cause beyond our lifetime. That is what we are ready to do.
There's a narrative that I'll give you. This was very interesting conversation, sort of, that I had with somebody. I was in a lineup. And there was an older white couple that was in front of me. My youngest son and I were in the lineup. And the gentleman was very comfortable with making jokes about women, about minorities. And the expression on his wife's face was like, oh my God, I can't believe this guy's doing this. But he was very comfortable with expressing his thoughts, on women in society, on minorities in society, and when he looked at my face, he realized that what he was saying was really not acceptable to me, and then he kind of looked at his wife, and then his wife kind of looked at him like, bro, you what are you doing? There's a conversation or a narrative that exists about white fragility. So as minorities come together and say, this is not appropriate, there's racism that does exist. Systemic racism exists, and we need to identify with that. We need to recognize that, and we need to change our systems. So the way that the system has been designed for so long, it has been designed like we've talked a little bit about before, that certain people would have advantages, but financially in many different ways than others. And now that system is being challenged. And so as that system is being challenged, there's a certain conversation about, for lack of better words, reverse racism, or that this is our culture, this is how we've always done things. And how do you in your organization sort of address that type of a mentality, that type of a concern of it's like, so there's a shift in power, and as there's a shift in power, because the minorities are really not the minority. The minorities are in the majority in the room. As that shift happens, there's a certain segment of the population who struggle with that change. And so you understand where I'm going with this?
Yes. Can I guess I'll take a stab at that,
Sure.
At that question. Thank you, Patrick, for asking, and very wonderful question. As we talk about white fragility and really accepting the fact that there are systemic barriers that other people face. And you're right, as you talked about the minorities, we're not the minorities together. We're actually the majority. Mm-hmm. And I think even when we look at that very statement, it just proves that over many, many years of colonial sort of teachings and the mindsets that we've developed with that, we're taught that we're the minorities. When we're filling out surveys and so forth, they ask you, are you a part of the visible minority? And without a question, unconsciously, that's we check yes, right? Where in fact we are not. Now the thing. Oh my gosh, your question is just so packed. I'm going to go back to education, even in terms of when we go into organizations with even, let's say, over 6,000 employees, our ultimate aim as I said, is really to start to take a stab at the heart. I'm a person specifically who loves to deal with the micro part or the micro aspects of life, where many people like to look at the macro. They like to look at the policies and procedures, which are definitely important to look at, and we want to have them changed. But as I think that as individuals, we need to have a change in heart. Every human situation or injustice that can ever exist on this earth, it begins with an individual and their heart, right? So what we do and what we take pride in is we go into organizations and we teach them, as best as we possibly can. How can we begin to accept someone else who looks different from us? Mm-hmm. How can we begin to act and build trust with others who we may not know? How can we, begin to act with empathy despite our differences? And it's really around education and training around that I believe that people's hearts can become opened to just the idea or the thought that, that these injustices do exist, and that there in fact needs to be a change. But initially, they will resist it, because just as in any normal circumstance, as an individual, if you're being, let's say, someone approaches you and says, "Hey, Patrick, this is what I noticed about you. You always go about doing things this way." Immediately, I mean, some of us, in some instances will be open. Well, tell me more, but if we feel like we're being attacked, if we feel that the fingers being pointed at us and telling us that there's something that we're doing wrong, there will be that level of fragility. There will be that level of defensiveness. How do we get past that? Oftentimes it's not because people are bad. It's not a heart condition. I mean, it boils down to a heart condition, but it's not a heart problem per se, in the sense that people are wicked and they just don't want to like other people that don't look like them. It's the deep conditioning over the years and the lack of education. And this is what, in all of our education and all of our events, and when we go into organizations, this is what we aim to do, is literally, like, I'm not a medical doctor, but it's like, seriously, it's like doing heart surgery, in that way. So, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, being able to make that shift is, nobody likes change, right? And especially if you're being told that your way of life has caused someone else some challenges. Nobody likes to really identify themselves with causing other people. Well, I hope.
Yeah.
Most.
Yeah. But we must also use this opportunity to recognize the fact that for the first time in the whole of history, we have people from different ethnicity coming together for a common cause. The other day I was watching CNN during Black Lives Matter movement, and they were showing some places in the US, there were more white people with the Black Lives Matter than black people in the group, right? That was nice to see. If we even look at the event we did, we are having monthly lunch and learn. More is working on Black History Month and stuff. We are having a lot more white people coming to want to learn. We must give credit to whom credit is due. The times are changing. Yes, there are still some who are hardcore racists, those one who will say white supremacists. But we must understand that there are some who are saying, I've had white executives as an executive coach. I've had white executives cry to me that we want to do more. What can we do? And some even telling me their own challenges. You might have heard the common terms, say unconscious bias and this and that. Here's the truth of the matter. The different kinds of racism are clear. One is overt racism. These are the people that look at you and tell you the N-word to your face. I've had that to me many times, right? These are overt racism. You see them a lot more in the States. It doesn't make Canada better, let's be clear. But as Donovan Bailey said, here we do it with a smile, you see? So there you have what is overt. And then you have the covert racist. Those ones are like, I really have friends. There was one former mayor, let me give respect to his soul, who said, people accuse me of being racist, but, I coach a soccer team and most of them are black. And suddenly that makes you not racist. So covert racism are those who are racist, but they don't even know to the extent of their racism, yet what they say or don't say, or do or don't do, exposes their depth of racism. That's my definition of covert. Why overt racism are those who are racist, they stand by it, they say it, they do it, and they don't care about it. The question we must all ask ourselves, there's nothing like nothing unconscious here. I'm not sure where that came from, but I'm not a propellant of unconscious. You don't drink water and say, oh, I drank the water unconsciously. You're calling somebody and anyone to say is unconscious. You're seeing somebody who's been marginalized, you do not say is unconscious. It's covert racism and overt racism. That's what I subscribe to. All the one they say unconscious, nobody's unconscious. You can drive a big Mercedes to work and you call yourself unconscious. Yes, you're not unconscious. You either don't care or you're part of the problem. So anyway, let's give some applause or some recognition to people from other ethnic groups, especially from the predominant narrative white folks who are now. We have them. I'm coaching many of them, and they are putting money where their mouth is, so to speak. They are paying money to say, and that's something we also do at the Congress. It's not just advocacy. We actually help organizations to develop strategies to put in place. Like, we were the one that worked with Canada Basketball to put in place 9 months. We worked with them to build a strategy that is going to help them to become more inclusive and equitable in both the hiring of coaches in their workplaces and even on the court. That was 9 months. We also worked with City of Brampton. Right, City of Brampton, we were there for a couple of months working with them to do that. There are many organizations that we are working with and that we have worked with who are predominantly white executives, so to speak, and they are paying for this. So it's not just advocacy, they're actually paying thousands of dollars for this. And then they are actually concerned. We can see it in their eyes and we can feel it in the conversation. So kudos to those executives out there. Kudos to those non-executive. Maybe you are just in a neighborhood. If you are in a neighborhood like Brampton or Sherborne or Mississauga and you are white and you don't have people, you are not connecting with the people from different ethnic group in your vicinity, then you are part of the problem, my friend, right? But if you are doing that, kudos to you as well. You are doing something. We want to do more. Okay, you want to do more? Go to your workplaces and bring up ideas on how to make your workplaces more equitable. You don't need to be an executive. You can be a customer service rep. You can be anything and yet make changes. So kudos. This is the first time we're all coming together to do this. And so that gives us hope. It gives us encouragement. It strengthens our passion and our quest for social justice.
So we've talked a lot about what some of the challenges are and what that looks like. There's a comment online that as a Canadian living in the U.S., they've experienced racism in the U.S. that find that the difference is that they are more upfront and in your face with they don't care that that they're racist in that person's experience in the U.S. Whereas in Canada, it's a little bit more covert. As well as within the schools, there's a big narrative, there's a big challenge going on right now as they're trying to change the history books because they don't want the negative impact of the narrative of slavery and all that to be taught in the classrooms. So there's a lot of challenges across the board, and I want to thank the person online for their comments in regards to that. And we've talked a lot in the last 45 minutes, really about a lot of the challenges. I want to spend our last 15 minutes really talking about, what are some of the tangible things that your organization brings to the table that, whether it's a corporation or an individual, like what are some of the things that we can start doing, people of color, people of non-color, what are some of the things that we can start to do in order to change this narrative, in order to change perception, in order to get some solutions? Because this has been a topic of conversation for as long as I've been alive, that's for sure, and even before that. And that's the struggle is on sometimes it seems like it's moving forward, but then other times it's like, did we just seeing swastika flags and Confederate flags at the nation capital in the last couple of days, it makes me wonder, are we really moving forward? What's going on here? So, I really want us to spend some time talking about what do we do next.
Can I just, I'll just jump in because
Sure.
Alex, I know you'll have a lot to say on this, but I'm going to sort of just echo some of the things Alex said as it pertains to, just our allies, really. But my argument will always be the same. It always boils down to education, and that's education on all levels. So this is why we do what we do. So it's really allowing the platforms that we have to empower individuals, Black, whites, and any other culture, really, to be educated about the issues at hand. And then when we're educated, like when it comes to knowledge, Patrick, knowledge is not like once you know something, it's one thing to not know something, but once you come into knowledge of that thing, you cannot unknow it, right? So then the responsible there is for us to ask ourselves, what will we do with the information that has been given to us, with the education that has been given to us? And that's why we do what we do. Like, this is not a job for us. We work around the clock because we are about social justice. We're about making change. Alex had mentioned something earlier about creating our own, well, he said there's actually two types of tables, which that was that was certainly a great analogy. I do believe in creating opportunities for ourselves. I'm an entrepreneur and I'm all about entrepreneurship. I often call myself an advocate of entrepreneurship. So I believe that we should take all the negative things that has been dished out to us and create opportunities for ourselves. But what I also believe as well is that we have to be careful about not furthering segregation. So it's yes, let's create opportunities, but let's not segregate ourselves, because that's not what we're trying to do here. We talk about inclusive diversity. It means that all people are important in this world, on this land. And our ultimate aim is to ensure that everyone feels included. It's not about segregation. It's about how can we come together as humankind to work together to build, a life for ourselves and our families here on Earth, and how can we support those that are marginalized? So I think in terms of solutions, that's definitely a mindset to develop, is realizing that we're not trying to further segregation. We're trying to empower our people, but we're also trying to create that sense of belonging here on Earth for all people.
That's yes. Great. So, and to add to that, my dear friends, is the essence that we talked about education, awareness, and more may talk about what she's planning for Black History Month. I don't know, almost 20 different events to attract different groups, high school, university students, organization, to leverage the opportunity for Black February as Black History to educate people. I talked about the corporate strategies that we have, helping people. We're also working on another major initiative, my friend Patrick, is going to be the largest diversity university on the planet. We are gathering all the contents. The event we had was 2 days, 16 hours. Last year, we had so many events, totaling almost 40 hours or so. I've been doing this since 1999. We have so many events, so many online courses. So we are currently editing them, loading them up on a learning management system, which we are going to make available to schools for free and to organizations and businesses for free. We are going to flood the market, flood the platforms, the systems with lots of, so you can't say, oh, I don't have money to take a course, or I don't have this. In addition, we are doing coaching. Coaching has been used to help people to grow, whether Usain Bolt, Michael Jordan, all these people are coaches. Now we are having life coaches. Now we are having diversity coaches. We are there to help you to conquer. Right. The other time I spoke in an event in Mississauga, and the one woman who was crying there later found out she's the senior director for HR. And she told me that when she was young, her parents forbade her, a white woman, from associating with Black people. And she never knew all through university, anytime a Black person walks in, she walks out, and has avoided them until that day hearing my speech. So that woman need a coach, not training, sit down. She'll cry. We'll talk about the issues. Just like, you were abused as the child. That one is called racial abuse or whatever, right? So social justice abuse. There are many people who are broken in their heart and they want to make change. So we're also doing coaching for them. They can take online course that the online course, nobody's controlling. You go there, you choose a course at your pace, at your place, and even at your prerogative. So those are some of the things we are doing. We're also partnering with organizations, right? For women, for white, green, doesn't matter, every organization, so that through one organization, you have access to thousands of people. So We are partnering with them to support them. There are some organizations we are partnering with right now that I want to give a shout out to. Honorable Jean Augustine Foundation Center for Women and Children. We are supporting their work. BBPA, Black Business and Professional Association. We're also supporting their work. They're supporting us. So these are organizations, Association of Black Law Enforcers of Canada, ABLE. We are there as well. And now we also know you, my friend Patrick Morris. We are also going to see how we can partner with you online. This is what it is. We all have to come together. We are not going to carry guns. We are not going to carry, I believe in non-violent social justice, but we are going to continue to use our platform, just like you have given us your platform, just like I've also talked about organizations. We are going to continue advancing. For the first time in history, we have some true allies in the white community. So let's keep pressing on.
Yes, and I'll just sorry, Patrick, just to sort of to reinforce what Alex is saying in terms of partnerships. Again, we are really looking to advance the partnerships arena of our organization, because together we can do so much more. Ultimately, our aim is to really create change within laws and policies. So you talked about earlier, Patrick, that we've spent so many years, we've been talking for hundreds of years, really. But now it's time to really make impactful change. And this is ultimately what we're doing, starting with education and awareness and doing what we can in order to develop strategic partnerships, people who are of the same vision, of the same cause, and are willing to stop talking and really make meaningful change. The other thing that I also want to, because we're talking about solutions, right? And I'm speaking to my fellow quote unquote marginalized or minoritized people. One of the things that we do face in this industry is we face the lateral violence as well. There are individuals out there who believe that well, they're pro Malcolm X, or there's others that's pro Martin Luther King. Alex said, ultimately we believe in leading with love. Some people are not in agreement with that. They think that we should, be taking force and to be more forceful in really advancing this cause. That's not what we're about. Any person that we're going to partner with, any organizations that we're going to partner with, we must be clear that as we move forward, again, it's not to create further segregation, but it's to lead from a place of love where we can all be educated and inspired and empowered to really move this forward.
It's funny because I've had conversations with a lot of people, obviously, talk to a lot of people, but so you have a group who such as yourself, who are kind of like, we're nonviolent, we're leading from a place of love and a humanistic standpoint. And then you have on the other side of the narrative as well, this country was founded on violence, and everything about our system was developed on violence. And so in order to change, it's going to require violence in order to make that change happen, because it seems to be the only language that is paid attention to. And so being able to sort of walk in the middle of that and find that balance is not always an easy thing to do, is it?
No, it's certainly not an easy thing to do. Like any other thing in life, I tell them. I said, something I learned years ago in my life that really made a lot of impact. If you are in the pursuit of a vision or an objective of a dream, and you do not encounter any opposition, you are heading the wrong direction. So yes, when I heard that, it completely changed my life. I used to think, well, why are people resisting this? This is for the betterment of everybody. So I later realized that once you are heading the right direction, opposition awaits you. Right. Mm-hmm. So that's why some people say, oh, I'm not racist, right? Because you are not encountering any opposition. You are just driving your Mercedes and going around. Right. But then us that drive a Mercedes or Infinity and they are pulling us over every day. We are feeling it. So let's let that sit in first. This is not an easy subject, certainly not an easy task, but is it achievable without a question? Right. The way we are fighting coronavirus right now. If we fight racism with even 10% of that capacity, financial and otherwise, racism will come to an end. For an example, there's a bill that the province of Quebec put in place against people's religious freedom. And then Justin Trudeau, who is the head of the country, will say, well, I don't have anything to say in Quebec. You are from there, my friend. You speak French. This is you. So that's what I'm saying. What we have in our hand is our vote. Let's use our vote wisely. Let's begin to look beyond the promises of politicians who are promising us this and that to see where they stand on this issue. Let social justice be a topic that decides who you vote for. We are not here advocating. That's why we're not a political group. We are not a religious group. We are not even a social group. We're a humanity group, right? So that's what we're saying. Right? So it's not going to be easy, but when you have people in positions of authority who choose to remain silent when other people are oppressed in the same country that we are, we have a parliament hill, and then you said you saw people living in shack in the same country and they are doing nothing about it. The question is no longer why are they not doing something or what are they doing. The question is what are we, the ordinary citizens, doing? What are we who have even smaller platforms doing? Everybody, this is a call out to everybody. If you can breathe, you have mouth. Even if you can't speak, you can type. We accept that too. You have to use your voice, right?
Absolutely.
While also encouraging others, right? We've said this is in love. This is absolute. We are a non-violent group. We don't. When anybody now say they want to be violent, we don't support them. In fact, we don't just partner with any organization. We research them. If they have been involved in any scandal, whether it's true or not, we don't want any scandal around us. So we want to ensure that we are doing this in love, doing this in peace, and we appreciate both the white folks, the black folks, the Indian folks, the Chinese folks, the indigenous people that are supporting the movement. Canadian Congress is for everybody. We could have named it Alex Congress or Morris Congress. We named it the Canadian Congress because it's for everybody. We're inviting people, go to Canadian Congress on diversity.ca, register to become an ambassador. We will train you on how to be a social justice in wherever you find yourself. School, church, community, doesn't matter. That's what we do. That's what we do.
We've got about 3 minutes left. So if there are people out there who are listening right now, whether they're business owners or somebody who likes what you want to what you're doing and wants to write you a $5 million check to help to fund you. Hope I get some a kickback from that or something. How can people get in contact with you? How could they what type of support do you need? Do you need any support? Do you need volunteers? Do you need funding?
So Moy, our fine director who's here with me, I'm honored to have her working with us at the Congress. She's our director for strategic partnership and sponsorship. Moy, your task is to get help. Here's your moment. Tell them what kind of help do you need and how can they come? And of course, you can also mention your Black History activities coming up.
We have 2 minutes.
Thank you for that question, Patrick. It is an important question because as we do this work, the reality is there are expenses and costs that are associated with that. And as we're looking to further the cause, it's always good to have some sort of sponsorship, whether it come in the form of volunteer work, whether it come in the form of an ambassador, which means that you may not be putting yourselves on the front line, but what you can do is you can at least sort of help to support the work and promote the work and events and education that we have. In terms of sponsorships, you can actually reach out directly to me at Moy at Canadian Congress on diversity.ca. So that's Moy at Canadian Congress on diversity.ca. We're also accessible through LinkedIn. So Canadian Congress on Diversity, our website, Canadian Congress on diversity.ca. So we're accessible through all the platforms, LinkedIn, email, phone number. My business mobile would be 289-242-3622. So we're really open. As we said, that there's definitely strength in numbers. Sometimes you're not able to actually, you don't have that capacity to join us in some of the things that we're doing. However, you can help to support the work that we do by whether it be donating or sponsorship. So we're quite open to that. As well as I do want to take the opportunity just to talk about our Black History Month that will be beginning on February the 1st.
Sorry, we're about to run out of time.
Sure, no
but you
problem.
Can definitely,
just look us up, though.
Yeah, look us up. Definitely want to thank you guys for hanging out with us. Enjoy the rest of your day, and by all means, you can log on to iLive website and get the information.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much. Thank you, my friend Patrick. God bless you and God bless
Gaza Taylor, and I choose a theme and play our favorite songs that fit that theme. Tune in right here every Sunday from noon to 2 on iLive Radio.
Every Friday, take a trip around the world with music from around the globe. Colors of Rhythm with your host, DJ